Hi, I'm Karen Palacios Jansen. Welcome to Cardio Golf. I've been teaching golf and fitness for over 30 years. I'm an LPGA Master Teaching Professional, a certified personal trainer. And my mission is simple. I try to help people move better so they can swing better. On this show, we'll talk about all things related to golf, including golf instruction, golf fitness workouts. We'll help you with your mobility, strength, anything to do to help you move better so that you can swing better. I'll show you all of the equipment that I use to teach golf. We'll talk about swing drills. We'll talk about how to play, practice, things that happen on and off the golf course that affect how you play. I want to make sure that you enjoy the game and play longer. So, welcome to Cardio Golf. I hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Cardio Golf Show.
In this episode of the Cardio Golf Show, we're going to talk about cleaning your golf grips. We're also going to show you a super easy way to make the swing a little bit more athletic, and I'm going to give you a plan to practice your chipping. So we all know that we need to clean the club heads, but do you know you also want to go ahead and clean the grips as well? So think about your grips. When you're holding them, your hands are sweaty, then you might throw the club on the ground and there's chemicals and dirt on the ground, and then you put it back in your bag, and those clubs might sit in your bag for a few weeks. So just think about all the grime and germs that are on your grip. The other thing, the grip is really important, the rubber grip, because it helps you hold on to the club with high speeds. So you want to make sure that the grip is a little bit tacky so you can really keep your grips a little bit longer if you clean them off. When you clean them off, and what I'm just doing is I'm just using regular disinfectant wipes. You could also take like a steel wool brush or just some soap and water, and then really make sure you get in there and clean those grips off like that. So you're not going to use it right away. You're going to have to let this grip dry, but check it out. Look how much dirt gets on the disinfected wipe. So, and then you can just dry it off with a regular towel and make sure you're washing your towel every once in a while. And now, after it's dried off, you'll feel, you might have to let it dry a little bit more. You'll feel that it's a little bit more tacky. So go ahead and go through your entire bag and clean up those grips whenever you can, because that's going to help you hold on to the club better. It's going to help the grips last longer so you don't have to replace them so much. And it's also going to be a lot more healthy. Think about all the germs that you are getting on your hands, and then you might be putting your hands on your mouth, in your mouth, or on your face. So that can't be good. Wash your grips.
I'm in the Golf Gym Studios today to show you a drill to do with your Golf Gym squeezy ball to help develop a little bit more athleticism in your golf swing. The golf swing is a series of highly athletic motions, and it takes years to master. If you didn't grow up playing a sport or golf, the golf swing may be difficult for you. You're having a hard time sequencing the motion. So today I want to show you a drill to make that sequence and that motion a little bit easier. Plus, you're going to get some great exercise at the same time. Ideally in the golf swing, you want to have a flow and an athletic motion that you don't have to think about. All you're doing is you're trying to wind your weight up on one side, and then you're changing directions and transferring that weight to the other side, and then extending your arms as you use your core and push off the ground. So there's a lot to think about. If you're super athletic, this motion probably seems natural to you. It's the same motion used in tennis. It's the same motion used in baseball, in throwing and batting. It's the same motion used for doing a lot of different sports. So that motion might be easy for you, but if you didn't play other sports, you don't really have that motion in you. So I want to show you what you can do with the squeezy ball to help develop that motion. So I'm a right-handed golfer. I'm using my back arm or my right arm, and I've got just a flat wall in front of me. And what I'm going to do right here is just practice first just doing a little wind up. I'm holding the ball with my back arm. I'm leaning away. I'm just going to step back and I'm just practicing the wind up. So where people go wrong in their golf swing is they never get that wind up. They just pick up their arms. You have to lean back. You have to shift your weight back into your backside. So just practice the wind up right there. Like this. You're practicing the wind up. So that's the same motion in the golf swing. You're just winding up. All right, then from here, practice a little step. A little step. So I'm still holding on to the ball, and then I'm just going to drop a little bit my backside. And that's the same motion that you want to do in the golf swing. When you get to the top here, you wind up and then you change direction. And when you change direction, the club actually drops. It doesn't come over the top. You're not throwing the club from the outside. So practice that wind up, step this way, and then step that way. Step this way, step that way. Good, and then just add a little bit of a throw with your right arm. You wind up, step, and then just throw the ball. And then shuffle and catch the ball, and then throw it again. Good, so we're doing a lot here. We're just doing a nice flow. You're winding up, you're stepping forward, you're throwing the ball, and then you're bending your knees, catching the ball again. So this is a great way just to practice the sequencing. You're getting some exercise, obviously, by fielding the ball, you know, what little kids do for hours. So you want to get really good at this. And I promise you, if you just practice this little right arm, wind up and throw, it will help your golf swing. Then you can go ahead and pick up your shorty club and don't throw the club, but pretend you're winding up, shifting your weight, and then throwing that club down the fairway. And this is the same motion that you would do in your golf swing. Wind up, shift your weight. See how that drops in front of me right here? And then I extend my arm to finish. So do a couple of practice swings with that right arm only. Then you can go ahead and do that little drill with the left arm. So you would just step up, then shift your weight, and then just kind of fling the ball, and then shuffle and pick it up. Wind back, and then fling the ball. So this is the same motion that you would do in your golf swing. You would wind up, you would shift your weight, and then you would just fling your arm to finish the swing. And this is getting my heart rate going. See how many in a row you can do without getting tired. Then go ahead and pick up your shorty club and just try to combine those two motions without thinking about it. You're winding up, then you're changing direction, and then you're using your core, flinging your arms. So do that a few minutes a day with your squeezy ball, and I promise you it's going to help your golf swing. And I want to give you a 10-minute chipping practice plan that you can do on an indoor simulator, or you can do this at your chipping practice green. Practicing distance control is really important in chipping. Where I see people go wrong is that they just go to the practice green and they just indiscriminately chip shots. Maybe they hit them solid, but are they really landing where they want the ball to land, and are they rolling towards the hole, or are they just going anywhere? So you have to have a plan. So today we're going to practice 10, 20, 30-yard chip shots. If you're on a practice green, you need to mark off 10, 20, 30 yards. So one step is approximately 1 yard. So you would just mark off 10, put down a head cover, 20, put down another head cover, 30, put down another head cover, so that you have something to aim to. Then what we're going to do is practice trying to figure out how far back and through we need to go for our 10, 20, and 30-yard shot.
So let's start with the 10-yard chip shot. So you want to select the club depending on how high you need to flight the ball. If you need to get over some fringe before it lands on the green, you want to select a sand wedge. If you have a lot of green to work with, maybe you can roll it out a little bit more with a pitching wedge or even a 9-iron. It just depends. So I would recommend that you practice chipping with different clubs to decide how you want to flight the ball. I like to chip with a sand wedge. I grew up chipping with a sand wedge, so that's what I am good at. And what I try to do for a 10-yard shot is I try to land it halfway, about 5 yards, and let it roll out another 5, 6 yards, depending on if I'm uphill or downhill. So chipping technique, you want to stand a lot closer to the ball. Your stance is narrow, your weight is forward, and you're really basically using your arms and your shoulders to control the club head. There's not a lot of side to side movement. You're not shifting your weight. In fact, you're keeping the majority of your weight on your front side. So to practice, you need to figure out how far back and how far through you need to swing in order to get the ball to land 5 yards and roll out another 5 yards. So this is where your practice comes in. You need to rehearse. You need to look at your 5-yard landing spot, and then you need to practice trying to land the ball at the 5 yards and let it roll out another 5 yards. So you can see that it carried 6 yards and the total distance was 11 yards, close to my 10-yard chip shot. So do that about 10, 15 repetitions, trying to land the ball 5 yards and let it roll 5 yards. Of course, if you have a pitching wedge, maybe that's going to land only 2 yards and roll out 8 yards. It just depends. But you have to know how far back and through in order to know how the ball is going to land and how far it's going to roll out. So now let's go to the 20-yard chip shot. Again, I'm chipping with my sand wedge. That's what I like to chip with. If I'm on an uphill green, I might chip with my pitching wedge or 9-iron, but basically I do everything with my sand wedge. It's up to you. Chipping is an art. It's not a super science. So for my 20-yard shot, now I need to maybe swing the club a little bit faster, swing the club a little bit longer, because now I want the ball to land 10 yards and roll out another 10 yards. So now I have to be a little bit more aggressive with my chip shot. So what I do is I try to program my mind. I say to myself, this is my 20-yard chip shot. I'm trying to land it 10 yards and roll out 10 yards. Then I get up over it and I try to make that same swing. That one carried 14 yards and the total distance was 23 yards, a little bit longer, but it's around my 20-yard chip shot. So you can see this is not random. I'm not swinging back and then trying to decelerate. I'm not just trying to flip at it and hope that it gets close to the green. I'm programming to swing to get the ball to land 10 yards and roll out 10 yards. So now I'm up to 30 yards. I need to land the ball approximately 15 yards and let it roll out another 15. Again, I'm using my sand wedge, so the ratio is about half. Now I have to figure out how far back and through so that I can land the ball 15 yards and it's going to roll out. Again, you might have to experiment with what club you are chipping with. I'm chipping again with my sand wedge because that's what I've gotten good at. So when you're chipping, basically, there's not a lot of wrist hinge. So 30 yards would be approximately the longest chip shot that you would have. Anything longer than that, and you'll have to start to add some wrist hinge, which is more into a pitch shot. So now I am trying to land the ball 15 yards and let it roll out another 15.
That one carried 21 yards and the total distance was 31 yards, close to my 30-yard chip shot. So chipping is an art, it's not an exact science, so you have to determine if you're against the grain. If you're playing on Bermuda grass, you might be a little bit uphill, so that 30 yards is actually a 40-yard shot. There's so many different variables, but if you can program your swing to know exactly how far back and how far through to get the ball to land and roll out, then it's going to be a lot easier when you're on the golf course, and then you can add in those different variables. So for your 10-minute practice, you are going to want to hit about 10 shots from each distance, and even say to yourself, this is my 10-yard shot, this is my 20-yard shot, this is my 30-yard shot, so that your mind can know how far back and forth you need to swing for that distance. So when you're playing golf, you know exactly where to land the ball and let it roll out towards the pin. So don't just practice randomly. Make sure you're rehearsing how far back and through you want to swing to get the ball to go that distance.
So that's our show for today. If you want to do a deeper dive and get some more golf instruction or more golf fitness workouts, visit tv.cardiogolf.com, and I'll see you next time.